Hello, this is Krista here with you again today. And today I am going to be reading to you a little bit more about narcissistic domestic abuse. And I'm going to start with a circle chart. This chart is about power and control that narcissists and more people that use manipulation to get what they want use against you. Okay, so the first one I'm going to start with is emotional abuse. These are ways that they keep us trapped and humiliated, but just basically using these manipulative skills to keep us down and under their control. So the first one is emotional abuse, which involves teasing and validating feelings, using guilt, blaming me for everything, being jealous, threatening, withholding affection, waking me up, silent treatment, stalking. The next one is called intellectual abuse. Having to prove things to him, mind games, demanding perfection, making me feel stupid, attacking my ideas and opinions, manipulation of information, telling me I'm crazy. The next one is financial abuse. Calling welfare, limiting access to money, making me account for every penny, controlling the money, closing bank accounts, wasting, creating debt, not paying child support, taking care of own needs. The next one is called pets and property abuse. Killing or threatening pets, punching walls and doors, throwing things, damaging the vehicle, smashing and breaking things. The next one is called psychological abuse, which involves intimidating gestures or actions, threatening suicide, threatening to kill me, displaying weapons, denying he said things, making light of the abuse. The next one is called physical abuse, which involves blocking exits, driving too fast, locking me out of the house, intimidating me, punching or kicking me, spitting on me, choking me, hitting me, restraining me. The next one is called verbal abuse, name-calling, swearing or yelling at me, insulting me, sarcasm. The next one is called sexual abuse, threatening to or having an affair, forcing or manipulating sex, sexual put-downs, criticizing how I dress, withholding sex, comparing me to others, using pornography, demands sex as a payment. The next one is called spiritual abuse, putting down my faith, cutting me off from my church, using church and faith to his advantage, soul murdering, using scripture against me. Using children, abusing children, threatening to harm or take away children, refusing to make support payments, belittling me in front of my children, using visitations as leverage. Social abuse, isolating me from my friends and family, monitoring phone calls or mileage, dictating who I can see, preventing me from working. Using culture is the next one. Using his culture as an excuse for put-down abuse, putting down my culture, forcing me to adopt his cultural practices, refusing to allow me to learn culture. And we're back up where we started at the top again of the chart. I'm going to add in here today the 10 steps to recovering from a toxic trauma bond. Trauma bonds occur in very toxic relationships and tend to be strengthened by inconsistent positive reinforcement, or at least the hope of something better to come. Trauma bonds occur in extreme situations such as abusive relationships, hostage situations, and incestuous relationships, but also in any ongoing attached relationship in which there is a great deal of pain interspersed with times of calm or maybe just less pain. I liken it to a heroin addiction. The relationship promises much, gives fleeting feelings of utopia, and then it sucks away your very soul. If you or someone you know has been in an abusive relationship, you have witnessed the strength of this type of connection. Maybe you or someone you know is trying to get out, but seems incapable of leaving. Well, there is hope. Here is some advice on how to break free from this type of stronghold. Number 1. Make a commitment to live in reality. If you find yourself wanting to fantasize about what could be or what you hope will be, stop. Remind yourself that you have made a commitment to live in truth. Even if you don't choose to leave the relationship immediately, in the meantime, you can at least remind yourself that you will stop fantasizing about what is not happening. Live in real time. Number 2. That means stop holding on to what could or will happen tomorrow. Notice what is happening in the moment. Notice how trapped you feel. Notice how unloved you feel and how you have compromised your self-respect and self-worth for this relationship. Pay attention to your emotions. Stop hoping and waiting. And start noticing in real time what is happening and how it is affecting you. Number 3. Live one decision at a time, one day at a time. Sometimes people scare themselves with all or nothing thinking. Don't tell yourself things like, I have never talked to the toxic person again, or else. This is akin to trying to lose weight by telling yourself you can never eat chocolate again. While it is true that your relationship is an unhealthy one, you don't need to make every encounter a do or die situation. Don't scare yourself. Number 4. Make decisions that only support your self-care. That is, do not make any decisions that hurt you. This goes for emotional relapses as well. If you find yourself feeling weak, don't mentally berate yourself, but rather talk to yourself in compassion, understanding, and reflective ways. Remind yourself that you are a work in progress and life is a journey. Do not make the uncaring decision to mentally beat yourself up. In every encounter you have with the object of your obsession, stop and think about each choice you make. Make choices that are only in your best interest. If you find yourself feeling weak, don't mentally berate yourself, but rather talk to yourself in compassion, understanding, and reflective ways. Number 5, start feeling your emotions. Whenever you are away from the toxic person in your life and feel tempted to reach out to them for reassurance, stop. Consider writing your feelings down instead. Write whatever comes to you. For example, I feel blank. I miss blank. I wish I could be with blank right now, but I'm going to sit and write my feelings down instead. I am going to teach myself how to feel my way through the obsession rather than turning to blank. This may help you build inner strength. Learn to simply be with your emotions. You don't need to run from them, hide from them, avoid them, or make them go away. Once you fully feel them, they may begin to subside. Remember, the only way out is through. Number 6, learn to grieve. Letting go of a toxic relationship and breaking a traumatic bond may be one of the hardest things you've ever had to do. You cannot do it without honoring the reality you are losing something very valuable to you. Number 7, understand the hook. Identify what exactly you are losing. It may be a fantasy, a dream, an illusion. Perhaps your partner had convinced you into believing they were going to fulfill some deep unmet need. Once you can identify what this need or hook is, you can get down to the business of grieving. Grieving means figuratively holding your hands open and letting it go. You say goodbye to the notion the need you have may never be met. At minimum, it will not be met by this relationship. Number 8, write a list of bottom line behaviors for yourself. Possible examples: 1, I will not sleep with someone who calls me names. 2, I will not argue with someone who has been drinking. 3, I will take care of my own finances. 4, I will not have conversations with anyone when I feel desperate or defensive or obsessive, etc. Whatever your areas of concern you need to do to change and make those bottom line behaviors. Number 9, build your life. Little by little, start dreaming about your future for yourself and your children if you have them. In other words, make dreams that don't involve your traumatic partner. Maybe you want to go to school, start a hobby, go to church, or join a club. Start making life-affirming choices for yourself that take you away from the toxic interactions that have been destroying your peace of mind. Number 10, build healthy connections. The only way to free yourself from unhealthy connections is to start investing in healthy ones. Develop other close, connected, and bonded relationships that are not centered on drama. Make these your go-to people. It is extremely difficult to heal without support. Notice the people in your life who show you loving concern and care, and hang around with them as often as you can. Reach out for professional help as needed.
Hello, it's Krista, and I hope that you enjoyed the presentation that I just give on some papers that I just got. As I have joined a domestic group again, I love the paperwork to read because it is so packed with information. Um, and, learning about the trauma bond can be so important because through the whole process of recovery, um, it's so easy to fall back to this person or toxic people again and again and again and again, and relapse, because these people can be so deceptive, and trying to use all these manipulative tactics over us, and can really play with our minds, confuse us, and frustrate us. And overall, like the paper was saying about how it sucks your very soul. They can drain all your energy by getting you to talk, acting like a friend, gaining information, and then using or manipulating you with it later. And it can be and the ups and downs of it, where there's a lot of pleasure for a little bit, and then it goes back to degrading and all the devaluing again and so forth, and the abuse plays again, where I often talk about the experience of it being like a drug, and where we get so used to it and we can't go without it. It can be so hard to get ourselves away from these people, and it can really just bring us so way down into the pits. Just like getting off of methamphetamine or whatever, when you just feel like you can't go on without them, even if they live just down the road, um, or close to you. Maybe if you have to keep in contact because of your children or whatever, these people have ways of hooking you back in, chaining you to them, where your whole life can just turn into one hairy mess of a ball. And so it's really important that we can try to go and stay no contact from these people, or very limited contact, if any at all, because it never stops with these types of people. And it's so hard for us empaths and codependents to understand, when, especially in covert abuse, why these people can be like they are. Or, you're just learning of what they're doing and you're just in a state of shock or whatever. Also, what plays along is the CPTSD. I was listening to Richard Grannon this morning as well, as he was giving a part 1 and 2 presentation, excuse me, about the traumatic impact that CPTSD can have on someone. I'm going to have to take a drink. Hold on. And how CPTSD can really affect us in ways like us hiding and isolating. Maybe every time that we go out in public, we might have, when everybody else seems to do the task of going to the bank or the grocery store or whatever, just fine, and everybody else can handle it just fine. But by the time that you get done with doing it, it just takes everything out of you, and you feel like wiped out. You feel like it was such a struggle, like you just climbed a mountain, even sometimes. Especially if you formed any health problems through the abuse. Whatever you've been through, if you have large forms of anxiety now due to the, which is part of the CPTSD, the depression, the fear, can really, when we do start breaking that trauma bond, we're going to have less of this as we draw away from these types of people. And fortunately, there's also procrastination that comes along. He was talking about and states of overwhelm that can be so strong, depending on what you're going through every day. And I'm not talking about PTSD, which often takes larger things like maybe, you've been through war, or you've been in a car accident. Someone you was close to you that you loved has died, or whatever it was, an accident, where PTSD has a little bit different effects that CPTSD has, because CPTSD is where you're in with somebody like an abuser, and you're suffering states of abuse, smaller traumatic things of abuse happening throughout the day, every day. So, if it's hard for you to get things done, it's good to make lists. He was talking about writing lists and trying to pull through with your lists every day. Or maybe you just want to sit on the couch and watch TV all day and you wonder why you can't get anything done ever. It is more than you think it is, and don't be so down on yourself and hard on yourself either. To continue and just give yourself lots of hugs and forgive yourself and love yourself, and practice a lot of self-love, because it is going to be okay, and you are okay. You just need, to stay in your recovery. Whatever that recovery is for you, to stay in it, stay in your groups, stay with a therapist that knows about narcissism, stay in, whatever it is that's helping through your recovery. I am planning on also doing some more self-soothing techniques for PTSD and CPTSD. And also using grounding to detach from emotional and or physical pain, which are all methodological practices and mindfulness, more calming practices for us to practice when we are with these people, or having to deal with these people, or even when we are done with these people. Because these states do not go away once you are out and away from them. They will continue to bother you for a while, until we can learn different ways to calm down, more or less without using drugs. But like I said, we're all at different levels of healing, and just not to stop, to keep going every week with joining that group or that therapist or whatever. And it's so important for us to learn that we are okay and we're going to be okay. So it helps break that fear. It helps break that trauma bond, states of that trauma bond. And as they do start disappearing, we are going to be able to stay out of these types of relationships. And one day we will be able to see these cluster bees from a mile away. So thanks for watching today, and have a great one. Daisy says bye.